Hello, today we're going to be building this beautiful Kikkoman soy sauce bottle using Blender 2.8. So check it out here. This is not a photo, this is real-time rendered in Eevee, which is just, Eevee just is short for magic, basically is what it stands for. And I mean, you can do subsurface scattering to get this nice sauce effect, and we can do glass, we can do reflections, soft shadows, all of these beautiful high-tech lighting effects for free pretty much. It's very fast. Anyway, back to the bottle. This iconic shape was designed in 1961 by Mr. Kenji Ekwan, and this guy has a really interesting pathway or career path. He was originally a monk, and he was a monk like his father. And when his father died due to radiation poisoning from the Hiroshima bombing, Kenji decided he wanted to become a creator of things or a designer. So he enrolled in Art Center here in Pasadena, California, and he became a designer. So this is one of his most famous designs. He also did bullet trains, motorcycles for Yamaha, all sorts of crazy stuff. And yeah, he recently passed away, but anyway, thank you for this amazing design. Alright, so here we go. We are in Blender 2.8 with the latest heavy poly config and the latest Blender 2.8. I don't want to see anybody in the comments complaining that the scripts are broken when you just haven't updated to the latest scripts, blah blah blah. Okay. And yours may look slightly different than this, but it's okay. The main idea is the same. So anyway, let's drag and select this entire box. Then hit X to get rid of it. X will delete. Next, we're going to add in the bottom of the bottle, which actually we also have a 2D view here, so maybe I should drag in some reference. Let's download a picture of the Kikkoman bottle and just drag right into this area. Okay, and now once it's in here, you can use Control Shift middle mouse to zoom to selected. Control Shift middle mouse. Also Control middle mouse will zoom out, and Shift middle mouse will pan. Okay, good enough. So now I'm going to add in a circle here for the bottom of the bottle. So to do that, we're using a pie menu, and this pie menu is called the primitives pie. So I'm going to hit Shift A to bring that up. Alright, so here's our primitives pie. This time I want, let's get an 8-sided cylinder here. Or sorry, 8-sided circle. This circle over here. Okay, I can press S to scale this. S. I'm just clicking S one time and then moving my mouse, not dragging the mouse. Blender's a little bit weird in that regard. Most programs have you dragging the mouse to do transforms. In this case, we're just clicking S and simply moving the mouse instead of dragging, and then left click will confirm the move. So this is the way that all the tools work pretty much. I actually kind of like it. At first I thought it was weird, but once I got used to it, it's actually a little bit less stress on your fingers somehow, because you're not constantly clicking things, you're just moving instead. Anyway, the next thing we're going to do is sort of grow this thing up, which is called extruding in modeling terms. So let's look for the extrude tool. It's down here under mesh, shift space. So this is like 80% of what we're doing in Blender is just extruding over and over and over. It's really tedious, but okay. Shift space. I'm just clicking shift space again, moving my mouse, and then left click when I'm done. And I notice this line right here is what we're creating. This widest part of the bottle down here. It's a very slight curve here. Very subtle. So if I press S, I can subtly scale that up. And then again, shift space, S again. And don't worry that this looks really low poly and crappy. It's totally fine. We're going to smooth it out later. So next, I'm starting to grow off the screen here. I can't see what I'm doing anymore, so I need to start to navigate my view using these controls over here. Middle mouse for rotate, shift middle mouse for pan, and control middle mouse. Okay, so now I'm gonna scale this and try to get it in this area over here. But let's say I want to move this thing now. I can move stuff using spacebar, which is right here. Spacebar is move. But as I click spacebar one time, I get this weird move that doesn't really make any sense for what we're doing. I just need to go up and down, right? So also notice that there's a few different locks here. So these sound confusing, like z-axis lock, x-axis, y-axis. Z means up and down, X means left and right, Y means front and back. That's it. So I'm going to press Z, which is up and down, and then left click. Okay, let's do that again because I know this is a little weird at first. If I hold down spacebar, I'm going to get this horrible dance, this glitch dance. So don't hold it down. Just click it once, and then Z, and then left click. So I'm clicking spacebar, Z, click, left click, my mouse. Okay. Glad that's all sorted. So now, let's see, we got this curve that's coming in here, and then it goes upwards a little bit. So shift space again, it's going upwards. And then we've got this interesting feature here of the neck. So how can we possibly describe that? Using the tools we already know, actually. So let's go back down. We got shift space. I'm telling you guys, this is the workhorse tool right here. We've created a little neck area right here. If I hold down Alt and click in between two faces, 1, 2, hold down Alt, click in right in the middle of those two faces. Now I get that whole loop that goes around. Now I can do shift space again, a million times, and SZ, spacebar Z. Now I've got this little weird shape here. Okay, good enough. Yes, it still looks very shitty, but don't worry, we will be introducing some smoothness in a second. There's also a little bit more of a curve here that I want to define. So I actually want to draw a curve, an edge right in the middle here, but we don't really know how at the moment. What we're looking for is a tool down here under mesh. Basically anything to do with these faces or edges or verts is going to be under mesh. And in this case we want a loop cut, which is Control R. So as soon as I hit Control R, it looks like nothing's happening. Great, awesome. But then as I move over the model, it starts to glitch out and look like a weird tweaker type of thing. So what's actually happening is when I hover over an edge, see how I'm hovering over this edge? And it's going to draw in a perpendicular loop. So it's like a T shape, right? If I'm on this edge, it's going to put a T shape. If I'm on this edge, it'll put a T shape. So that's all it's doing. So as I click, this time I will drag. So I'm gonna left click and drag. Oops, sorry. Control Z, Control R, left click and drag, and I can go like that, but really I want it about in the middle. And then S. Making like a little low poly version of this. Okay. That also threw us into edges mode, by the way, but we'll deal with that later. Okay, so now I want to start to smooth this thing out. I can press Tab to start smoothing it. And right now it needs a little bit more definition, actually. On the bottom, this rounded corner here is way too round. It's actually more of a crease on the bottom, so I can do that pretty simply by grabbing this face. Instead of shift space, which we've been doing, I'm going to do, let me undo that twice actually, because check this out. If I do an extrude and then I undo with Control Z, it actually leaves behind a duplicate of the last one, which is not what I want. But I mean, that could be fine if I go Control Z and then S. This is what I want, really. That's fine. Let's do that. So again, we got the face. I did an extrude. I said Control Z and then S. Okay. So now, if I bring this up close to the edge and hit Tab, now I get a pretty sharp corner there. So what happens is when edges are very close to each other, the closer they are, the sharper the corner, which hopefully will make more sense as we keep going. Okay, so now there's also some very, very soft corners here that I need to sharpen up, which I'll do another way. This time I need all these edges here. Right now we're in faces, so we can't really select those edges. To switch to edges, I'm going up here to the selection pie, Control Spacebar. So with this pie, I'm going to be holding down Control and Spacebar. I know I just told you not to do that, but for pies, yes, we hold down. Control Space, got verts, edges, faces, blah, 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 objects. In this case, we are in faces, but also notice that I'm moving my mouse a very, very slight amount, only to this little inner circle area. So as I'm holding this down, I can at any time let go. So if I'm highlighting edges, I can let go. And now I'm in edges mode. You're like, well, what's the big deal about that? I don't care about, like, why did you spend so much time on that? It's because this is a super, super key element of pie menus. Like, pie menus are very, very slow if you just click them and then click, 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 click. That's 2 clicks, and you have to move your mouse and aim it. But if you're holding down Control Spacebar, you slightly nudge your mouse and then you let go. Now we're kind of like doing the knife dance with our fingers, and it's very fast. This is how you get fast at modeling, by taking advantage of these pie menus. Okay, so now we're in edges mode. I did Control Space, flicked up, and let go. Now I want to select this edge here, but I want all the other ones too, and I could hold down Shift and go around, but that's lame. So I'm gonna hold Alt and click on the edge, and then we get the whole edge. Let's hold Shift Alt, click. Now we got that whole edge, and then B will sort of split it into 2. So B, I'm just clicking B and then moving my mouse and then left click. Okay, now we're all good to go. Let's hit Tab again to see that this corner is now much sharper. So again, this is without, this is with. Affects that corner. Okay, and then we also have a corner up here. I could just delete this top one actually. Let's hit X to delete that top face. I went Control Space, face, sneaky style while you guys weren't looking, and now I deleted it. Okay. Now the last thing that's happening here with the bottle is we have these little facets, and it's not really what I'm looking for. So I'll hit Z, shade smooth. So Z, shade smooth. Now we got a nice smooth shape. Okay, I think this is a good spot to take a little break. I'll see you in the next section. Alright, next we're gonna go for the bottle cap. So I'll go Control Space, Faces. Now I'm gonna pick in between 2 of these faces, oh, maybe these 2. Holding down Alt and click. Here we go. Shift D and Z. Then S, click. Spacebar Z, click. Okay. So now I'm going to start to organize the scene a little bit. We've got one cube object here, which contains, all of our faces are all part of this cube object. And even though it seems like we have 2 different objects here, an object in Blender is actually more like a layer in Photoshop. So it's like a collection of, a layer in Photoshop is a collection of pixels, right? But in Blender, an object is just a collection of faces. So, I mean, this is just a collection of faces. So if we want to separate this to a new object, I can double click these faces here and press P to separate them. Now we've got two different objects. And you can see now we can't select the other faces because those faces belong to this other object over here. So let's rename this one to be the bottle, and then this one can, this other one here, this new one that we just created is the cap. And okay. So we can start to scale this. I'm going to go control space edge, actually control space verts. And verts are these little points here. So I can grab all these. Spacebar Z, S. Spacebar Z, S. And the proportion of this looks a little bit weird to me. Maybe this needs to be a little bit bigger. Okay. And make sure you get that angle in there. So now I'm going to go to object mode. Right now we are in verts mode. So verts, edges, and faces are all considered edit mode, or elements, I guess you could call them. And these elements are all contained within objects. And the objects you can think of as layers, right? So these are all like the pixels, and this is the layer containing the pixels. So let's go down to the object mode, and now we can switch between two different objects. Okay, so now we're on the cap layer, cap object, and then go down to this little wrench. This is the subdivision surface modifier right here, which we have been using even though you didn't really realize it. Every time you press tab, it automatically turns on and off this little modifier here, which smooths stuff. So in this case, we have different levels here. So you can see here's 0, here's twice as many polygons, and then another doubling. So I'm going to go up to 2 on view and then hit apply. Okay, so now when we go into faces mode, so if I go control space face, whoa, our model's different now. We actually have way more faces here. Okay, so now that we have the extra faces, we can do more specific and smaller details like the spouts. So let's start working on the spout. I've got, I'm going to align it from the front view. So let me go V. I'm holding down V. This is another pie menu, and this gives us our different views. So let's go to front view, let go. Cool, right? Again, if you hold down V, or you hold down any pie menu and just flick, you'll get the different views. Okay, so now this spout is actually a triangle shape, and I'm gonna go and grab that reference here for a second. Drag and drop. Okay. Actually, I'm going to take a tiny little break here, and we'll continue this in the next section. Okay, let's work on the spout area. I'm going to go to front view by holding down V, move to front, and let go of V. Now I'm going to make a knife cut with K. Just click right about here. Click. And click. Now spacebar will finish the tool. Now we have a line drawn in here. I can go Shift X and move to the right. That'll mirror us to the right side. There we go. We got a mirror. Next, I want to extrude this little area out. So I'm going to grab all of these with Shift, just clicking all of them. Shift space for extrude, and it's going the wrong way. So I'm going to right click, which will leave the extruded piece where the last piece was. So now they're both overlapping each other. I'm going to press spacebar now to move it, and then spacebar again to lock it this way. Now we can go Control Alt Space, and we have a pie menu here. Left side is aligning or flattening, right side is rotation. So on the left side, I want to flatten it from the front view. Just let go. So that's Control Alt Space. Spacebar, 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 spacebar. Okay. Now, at this point, I'm going to merge all this together with Control X. Now they're merged. I can go Alt Space to inset it a little bit, but make sure you're not crisscrossing here. So maybe about here, and then S. So again, that's Alt Space to inset, but don't crisscross. Left click. Now it's done. Now I can press S to scale. And then just click. Okay. Let's grab this one and this one. One, hold shift, click the other one. I'm in verts mode, by the way. Control space verts. Control J. Let's go to front view, V, front. Just sort of jiggle these around. So that they make this shape. I think it's a little bit flatter on the top. I think. I hope. Alright, so now we're going to mirror this over. Shift X, and let's go to the left side. So now the left side's mirrored. Grab these two, shift space, go in deep in there. Okay. Next, I've got these edges here. So let me select one of these. Let's grab this one here. Actually, this one right here. Control Shift D and subdivide cylinder. Oh, that doesn't work. Alt click here. Control Shift D, subdivide cylinder. No? Oh, sorry. I need to alt click here. Control Shift D, subdivide cylinder. Oh my god, why isn't it working? There we go. I'm not sure exactly why it's only working in certain areas, but anyway, keep trying until you see this. This is what we're looking for. It's very, very strange. Sometimes it goes here too. Weird. If it does go here, that's no big deal. You can just go Control R and actually click right there. Let's Control R. Bring it down a little bit. Okay. Anyway, let's double click this thing. We got open ends on the top and the bottom, so I'm going to hit F. And it just automatically knows to fill it. Okay, and then next I'm going to go to the top view. Or sorry, just go to faces, control space faces. Grab this. And I could go in and select all the others, but a little bit faster way is to go control space, select flat. Now we got all of them. And Control X will merge them together. Okay, great. Let's take a tiny little break here, and I'll see you in the next section. Okay, next we're going to work on getting these little highlights around the edges of the cap. And what creates these highlights are just round corners and bevels on all these sharp edges. So we need to go in and introduce that with a bevel modifier. So I'm going to the right side, add modifier, and then bevel. So here it is. You can see it starting to happen. I can increase the segments here. Also, turn off clamp overlap just so you can get this thing going. But actually, we need to bring this width down. You can hold down shift and drag. Just drag your mouse here. Okay. So now I want it to be about here. And let me turn this from none to wait, the under limit method. This goes to wait. Now it looks like nothing's happening at all, which is true. And what the wait method does is it makes it so that we have to manually tell it what to bevel. So I'm going to grab this top face here, and to add some weight, we're hitting Control Shift E and then moving the mouse a little bit. You see how it's starting to round that off for us? So now we can increase the segments here. And that's that. So just continue going around. I can grab this edge here, holding down Alt and just Alt click on that edge. Same thing, Control Shift E and drag that around to get this thing going. You can also adjust the overall width up here, Shift drag. Then you would grab this one and Control Shift E and you can make it a little bit smaller. Okay, so this weird thing is happening here where we have a rounded corner here, but then over here it turns into a pinch. And that's actually the outer miter pattern, which I wish this would just be on arc by default, but okay, well, we have to manually set that to arc. And now it's working. Okay, so let's continue all the way around here. Holding Alt and clicking on those edges. Let's try -1 first to clear everything. So now we have no weight. And then we can go Control Shift E and add in a little bit. Okay, and then same thing over here. Control Shift E. Just make sure they don't crisscross like that. You can also hold down Shift if you want to go a little bit more accurately. Okay, so what about maybe these ones? So this is a really cool way to work. I mean, gives you so much flexibility here. Okay, and then this corner as well. Control Shift E. It's pretty easy, right? Alright, so now I worked on this side. This side is kind of like how I want it, so I'll go Shift X and move to the left. There we go. Alright. Maybe these two I can go just give it a tiny bit. Oh, actually it doesn't like that, huh? Wonder why it's freaking out there. Alright, I'll just leave that alone for now. So the next thing we have is this weird, it looks like shading glitches here where there's weird triangles showing up. So we can just turn on harden normals and that'll fix that pretty easily. Okay. I think that's it. Alright, I'm gonna throw a material on here and actually, we'll cut it here. See you in the next one. Okay guys, I was looking at the reference and I'm noticing a couple of changes or differences. So the really great thing about working this way with the linked duplicates is that we can always come back in and really finesse the shape. And it's no big deal. No big deal because we have all these modifiers going. Everything is still extremely flexible. Alright, so next I want to add in a little studio lighting setup so we can make a nice rendered image like this. So to do that I'll go Shift A in object mode, Shift A, plane. Now we've got a plane. I'm going to faces mode, Control Space faces, S. Let's bring that up a little bit like that. And then Shift Space, middle mouse to lock it in the Z direction. We can grab this, B and S. And we got some weird shading, so I'll go Z, shade, smooth. Okay, we got a camera over here. If I go V and then view camera, now we're inside the camera. If I want to move the camera, I can hit V, lock camera. Now we see that red dotted line, and we are locked to the camera. In this case, this is sort of a vertical type of a design, so I'm going to change my resolution by making sure the camera is selected, so it needs to be highlighted in pink. And then I can go Control Shift V, which is our properties pop-up. So this pop-up is really flexible. It lets us see the settings of whatever we have selected, in this case the camera. So Control Shift V, and let's change the resolution here to 1920 by 1920, and we can change the focal length and the f-stop and focus distance. I mean, how cool is that? Got everything here in one spot. V, lock camera again, and then we can just sort of frame this up like that. V, lock camera. So either like this or maybe from the side is better. I'm not sure. Let's try like this for now. Okay, we have a little green arrow here left over from before, so I'll just delete that. We don't need that anymore. Maybe I'll grab the plane that we just created and just move it up a little bit so it's above. No, I'll leave it there. Okay. Just frame that up. We have a light as well. I might delete this light actually. Should I? Yeah, okay, I'll leave it. Let's grab the top here. Shift A, Control Space faces. Let's grab one of these faces on the side here. Shift A and add a light. And in this case, I want to change the light. So I'll go Control Shift V, which is our pop-up properties pop-up. Here it's bringing up all the light settings, so we can, change the color, do whatever. Can change this to area. I love that somebody is doing their lawn right now in the middle of my epic soy sauce tutorial. Okay. We can change this from a square to a rectangle. Change the size of it. Man, that's cool. So easy. You can also hit S to scale it. Then we get some pretty nice highlights pretty quickly. Very easy. Okay, I'll bring these off the screen a little bit. And then Control Shift V and adjust this a little bit. Alt D will duplicate it linked. That way if we end up changing the color, it'll be linked. So let me go RZ 180. Bring this one over here. And so yeah, if we change the color on the left side, it also affects the one on the right side. So that's kind of cool. Alright, so I think we're almost here. The only thing maybe we could also add another light to the back. Oh, oops. Well, anyway. Let's go Shift D this time because I want this light to be different from the other two. I'll go RZ 90. So now this one, oh actually it's pointing towards us. I want to go RZ 180, enter. So it's pointing towards the background. And let's, here we go. So now we can do, change the color of the background if you want. A tiny little light here. Probably lower strength as well. Okay, not bad. The last thing here is we got this logo. And so we can add this in pretty easily. I've got the glass material here. I'm going to go to switch from the properties panel over here to the shader editor over here. So just click up here, shader editor. Okay, I'll press N to hide this side panel. And here's our shader editor. Now I've got a little pre-made texture for you guys, or you can just make your own. It's Photoshop or whatever, but let me just grab it here. I'll have a link to this in the description below. Okay, so here's my texture. All you gotta do is drag and drop it right into here. Pretty easy, right? And then we can just drag and drop this right here to check what's actually happening. So if I go V and then right view here, let's just take a quick look here and see what's happening. It's all stretched out and weird, and it's happening on the bottom, which is totally not right. So let's go back to here, and actually, yeah, back to properties. Here, properties, and then back to modifiers. We're gonna go add modifier, UV project. So this one here, we're gonna use an object to project this texture. So I need to add a new object. I'll go Shift A. I'm in object mode now. Control space down is object mode. Shift A. Let's go down to empty and create, let's just create a plane axis right here. And then I'll move it forwards a little bit and up. So this is going to be represent the the transforms of our texture and the location of our texture. So let's go back to here, and the name of this is empty, or we can call it sticker. Okay, so now let's go back to our bottle with the glass. We've got our UV project here, and we have an option here to choose an object. I can just type in empty. Oh, sorry, sticker. It's called sticker now. And there's the sticker object. So as I move this around, it is projecting, but is it working the right way? I think it's working the right way. Okay. I think I need to rotate this because it's happening on the bottom right now, right? So if I rotate this in the x-axis by 90 degrees, so I'm just going RX 90. Now we've got it happening in the front view. I can scale it. All right. So let's go back to our shader editor. So back up here, back to the shader editor. Click on this thing. So here it is. It's working here, but it's also repeating everywhere. So I'm going to switch this where the image is, switch from repeat to extend. That way it only happens once. And now we can move this around over here somewhere. But it's kind of tough to see it. So I need to work on the shader a little bit. I'm going to click back on the glass. And right now we have this shader represents the glass right here. But I need to mix this glass with this yellow sticker material. So I'll just duplicate, or actually I'll go Shift A over here, go over to shader, and then just make another principled BSDF. Same exact thing, right? So now this one, I can plug this one into the output, surface output, and this is our second material, and I just want this to be that like golden yellow. Is it metallic? I don't know. It's kind of orange. Okay, so we're gonna switch between this original glass and the yellow now using this texture. So I just disconnected this one by just dragging it off. Okay, so how do we set this up? Let's put these two in the same area, and then Shift A, we're gonna look under shader there's something called a mix shader, which does what it sounds like. And then I can hover over here until it highlights and click. Okay, and then I'm going to drag this one over here. Now, when I drag this factor slider, it goes all the way glass or all the way yellow. So it's switching between these two using this slider. So what we need to do is tell the texture itself to control the factor. And there we go. Now, if it's doing the opposite thing, then all you gotta do is drag one to the other and it'll flip those two around. So now it's doing glass and yellow. But let's flip these back. Cool. So the great thing about this masking approach is we can, do all sorts of cool effects on here, and it's all good because we're just using the texture as a mask. We can put a clear coat. Whoa, what happened here? What did I just do? That was weird. Alright, maybe no clear coat there. Okay, and then again, we're using this to project, so we can move this around and it's all nice and flexible. I like to try to do things as flexibly as I can because it's great for design. Okay, let's go view camera again. You can also go back to your object settings over here. Where is it? Sorry, properties. And here's your camera. Just make sure. Oh yeah, camera's at. Oh sorry, here's the camera. You can make this 90 degrees. Or actually the Z rotation should be 0. X location should be 0. And we're all set. You can go Z and overlays to turn off all the extra stuff. Let's hit the glass one more time. Shift V. Uh-oh. Down here. Open this up. Let's make the depth a little tiny bit thicker. Okay. Alright, let's save it here, and in the next video we'll just wrap things up. Alright, so we're almost here. One last little detail is we've got the soy sauce itself has a little bit of a translucency to it, so let me get into the sauce material. I'm down here in the material tab, got my sauce, and subsurface is going to allow us to see through the material a little bit. It's kind of like waxy type of a saucy thing. And we can go and make this subsurface color to be more like this deep, dark, rich soy sauce color, dark brown. And now we just need to go down here, make sure we have subsurface translucency turned on. That way when we shine a light through it, we can see that light. Okay, so now I'm going to grab this light, or actually I'll grab this one, which we were using for the background. We'll go V, right view, Z, and overlays to see the lights. So I've got this light. I'm going to go Shift D, duplicate it, move it over here, move it up. You can go RZ 180 to go the other way. Up to you how you want to run this, but you can adjust the strength here. RZ 180. So yeah, have fun with this. You can continue, I don't know, maybe the background could be a more interesting color. So from here, I think we're pretty much ready to go. Oh man, this is just so fun to play with. I'll leave it kind of subtle. And the last thing too is we've got these really sharp shadows coming from the lights. So I'm gonna hit Z soft shadows. And that'll make it so that the lights jiggle around randomly and the shadows become soft. Um, we've also got one more light here. This default light that sort of comes with the scene. So you could play around with that one if you want. Up to you. Kind of like how subtle it is here. Okay, alright, let me save this one and I'll show you how to do your final render. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Alright, so here we are at the end. The only thing left is to actually render the thing. So all you gotta do is check here. Let's make sure our resolution is all good. I'm doing 1920 by 1920. And then you go render, render image. And then a second window should pop up. You can zoom out, and that's pretty much it. You go image, save as. I will save mine as a JPEG, blah blah blah. All done. So that's pretty much it for today. Thank you for joining in on this little mini tutorial. I hope it was helpful. I hope you're enjoying this whole new Blender 2.8 and Eevee business. And yeah, I hope I'll see you in the next video. Please remember to dislike and unsubscribe, report my channel to all the proper authorities, and I'll see you next time.